Welcome to another episode of the Atlanta REALTORS Rundown, the #1 podcast for realtors in Georgia. I'm your host, Helen Archer, and if you have not yet subscribed to our podcast, please like and subscribe so you never miss our great interviews, our content, and conversations with the best in the industry. Today, I'm honored to be talking to the one and only Krys Benyamein. Yeah.
Thank you.
The driving force behind Estate of Grace Real Estate in Norwalk, California, southeast of Los Angeles. He is a trendsetter in video marketing, and also he helps his team to an average of 100 transactions a year. His journey from lawyer, public defender to realtor, investor showcases his diverse expertise. So I can't wait. And when he's not closing deals, Krys loves climbing mountains. He just recently climbed and summited Mount Everest, the tallest point on earth. And he's a devoted family man, sharing who his wife is also a plastic surgeon. Oh my goodness. And you're expecting your second child. Oh my goodness. There's a lot going on with you, Krys. Bienvenido. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I can't wait to share your story and ideas with our audience. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
As we know, you're a very busy guy. So you have been in the real estate world since 2018, but I know that it's a little bit further than that. Tell us about your story.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I'm excited and I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Real estate has been a part of my life since I've been born. I'm a second generation realtor. I'm a first generation American. But my mom and dad got into this business 1989. So my whole childhood growing up, this is what I was familiar with, very used to, them having to step out to take phone calls, missing certain things because they were working. So it felt natural for me to get into the business at some point, and I strayed away. I got into law. I went to college and then law school and then practiced for a handful of years. And then life, naturally, the way God has a plan, brought me back to Southern California, brought me back to my family, brought me into the real estate business. And that was 2018 now. And I haven't looked back. I'm very grateful.
Very different market for sure. And it's interesting that your story is very similar to mine because, like you, my father is one of the first realtors. Well, he had a real estate academy in Puerto Rico back in the 70s. So I grew up handing off the diplomas to new agents. And
I love that.
Until he passed away, that's what I did, as a little kid. And so, of course, we have to do what we have to do. We have to pursue our passion. I was a journalist.
Right.
You were an attorney. And as life goes on, you're like, okay, I need to really build the legacy here. And the legacy is real estate, right? And I love that commonality that you and I have. So 2018, 2025, very different market. What are you doing now versus when you started differently? Because I know you started your business with videos and everything, but obviously things evolve and change. So tell me about that journey.
Yeah, great question. The business has changed significantly, especially in our local market, which is the same for every market from an affordability perspective. So we've always helped a lot of first-time buyers. I think my mom being an immigrant always believed and identified with the first-time homeowner and the American dream of owning property. And as a result of California being more expensive baseline, but with interest rates increasing, house prices still continuing to increase, affordability has seriously become a challenge. So one thing that I have definitely pivoted or changed focus on, not related to video or anything, is two components. One is tied to the affordability aspect. I am certainly not abandoning or turning my shoulder to first-time home buyers. I'm certainly still very focused and mindful to try to get people opportunities. However, during COVID 2018, pre-COVID, when interest rates were in the four, there was a lot more time, there was a lot more ability to help people with 500 credit scores get it high enough to be able to get their foot in the door. People were able to afford buying a house. Now, like the average price point in LA is under $1 million now. So it's requiring dual income households to be able to make ends meet for a very basic, 3-bedroom house in Southeast LA. So I'm not abandoning the group of people that I served a lot when I started, but I'm being more mindful of where I spend my time with what individuals, because I still have to protect my business. I still have to protect, what we're doing every day. So that's one piece, right? I think where we spend our time, who we spend our time with. I'm big on the numbers. We talked before this about coaching. I think this is partly a product of being a coaching, student. Is I keep track of all of our data, right? So I think it's really important for real estate agents to audit their business, figure out not only where their business is coming from, but what are they getting paid for that business? What's your average listing commission? What's your average buyer commission? What's your median price point? So that you don't spin your wheels, because time is very valuable in places that aren't fruitful for you. So that would be one thing. The second thing that I've adjusted since 2018 is being a lot more purposeful or invested in the relationship. By virtue of the business moving so much faster a handful of years back, I think I was a lot more transactional, right? It was very much public defender mindset, where it was one offer, next offer, or one buyer, next buyer, get them in, write the offer, show the house, boom, 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 like the McDonald's of real estate. It really is sort of public defender, emergency medicine triage, right? Like just stop the bleeding, get to the next one. And the business has changed significantly, right? I don't think consumers are looking for somebody to just open the door anymore. As a result of affordability being a challenge, people are, looking for deeper relationships. And as a product of that, I am focused a lot more on the relationship. I'm focused a lot more on the interpersonal communication between me and the consumer than I was before. So little things that I wasn't doing, that I wasn't mindful of, I'm trying to focus on now. What are the kids' names? What are the dogs' names? What's their
I love
favorite
that.
sports team? What's their favorite color? What
It's
kind of food
deeper.
do they
It's
like?
deeper rather than just on the surface. It's just you're going
Yeah,
deeper with quality versus quantity. I love that.
exactly. And I think especially as there is not much optimism of the market changing, which I'm totally okay with. If we're going to continue to be in a high interest rate or a sort of average interest rate climate, we're going to continue to be in a market in which prices are accelerating faster than people's incomes can keep up with it. What can I do to get people to refer me more? What can I do to do more business from the consumers that I'm working with, as opposed to having to look for new people all the time? And I think that's a very big mindset shift from where the industry was a handful of years back, because it's not people are not shopping for houses as a sport anymore. 2020,
Houses sell
2021.
themselves. Houses sell
Yeah,
themselves. It's really, they're
right.
hiring for the relationship and the trust.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. So, and I think especially for young people, I'll be 35 this year, so I'm a millennial. I think one thing that's really important for young agents to ask themselves, or even senior agents, well, senior agents not so much because they've been doing it for a while, but what's your intent in this business? How long do you foresee yourself selling houses? And if the answer to that question is 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, then slow down on what you're trying to do with these people, right? Don't worry about selling them a house in 6 months. Make sure that you're going to be there to serve them in 2 years when they're ready. And
Yeah,
I think when you approach it from that abundance mindset, the business is always going to come,
absolutely. It's all putting them first. And you said that in our pre-interview, is putting them first.
right?
And I love that. Last year in 2024, you did 65 transactions. with 47 million in volume. In
Yeah,
2025, your goal is more oriented towards the volume than units, and your goal
right.
is 55 million. I love the fact that you elaborated that immediately when I asked you, so tell me about your goals, tell me about your year, and right away you knew your numbers. And so you're very focused, you're in coaching, you have always been in coaching, which I think also makes a difference in some of us who are in this industry to track that success over time up and consistent,
Right.
right? Now, how much of that business would you account to having videos, and how much time, money, and part of your business or your business plan was allocated towards, I mean, part of your business plan was allocated to doing videos?
100%. So I started doing videos in 2018 when I got into the industry. It was only one video a week. It was really low budget, but it was something that I enjoyed and it was something that I had control of. There's a lot of different ways to do business, right? There are agents who only send direct mail, who don't pick up the phone, and they're very successful. You have agents only doing video, never sending mail or picking up the phone that do very well. So I think there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. It's just trying to figure out what your approach is to be able to stay consistent and then find harmony between your business and your personal life. I don't think there's much for balance. I think it's just how can those be in harmony together? And what can you show up regularly doing that gives you joy? So, of the business in 2024, of that 47 million, 73-ish%, I know it's kind of silly that I know this stuff, but started from online communication. That is not to say that they were strangers. I think I only actually did about five cold strangers from social media. Uh, However, most of the business is coming from the Sphere client referrals, the database, and the database is on social media, right? So when I post a video and I have a client comment on that video, there is my opportunity to engage them or re-engage them in whatever it is that I want to talk to them about. So we spend a lot of time, or this year we've committed to 12 past client events, one a month. And it's fascinating the ways in which we are inviting people is so different than even 3 years ago, right? Like I'll post a video and the client will see it and they'll laugh at it, they'll make a comment, and then right there in the comments, I say, hey, check your messages. I just sent you the invite to movie day. Like, I can't wait to see you. Right.
Oh,
So it's
clever.
allowing, at the end of the day, the business is about communication. So if you're posting videos that is not allowing people to communicate with you, then you need to readjust what your approach is to video, right? So I don't really think that you need to post videos about houses. I don't care if you're posting videos about your feet, your cat, your exercise, whatever. But it has to be something that allows people to want to conversate with you so that you can be the real estate agent, so you can be the expert and take the conversation where you need to adjust it, where you
Oh,
need it to
wait,
go.
let's stop you right there. So you're saying you do a video, then they laugh at it or make a comment. And this is your opportunity to, instead of commenting on that thread, that you DM and connect with them in a separate outside of conversation, basically. And that way, that's your connection, that's your engagement. And so you're communicating and you're having these relationships offline, but you're using video to bring it and to bring them to you.
100%, a hundred
I
percent.
love
That's
that.
that said it exactly right. I'm still making phone calls. Don't get me wrong. I think I could create a successful business just from posting videos on social media, but it wouldn't be the business that I'm aspiring to build. I'm not Ryan Serhant yet. I'm not Mauricio
Yet,
Umansky. I don't yet.
yet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
I'm very mindful about the words that I use, right? Because these words are my reality. So I'm very critical, and I'm a human, so I fall into the same thing, but I'm very mindful to uh, treat myself well or communicate with myself positively because it will become a reality. And, this is a very hard business. This is very feast or famine. It's unfortunate because there's no rewards for setting appointments. There's no pats on the back for opening escrows. At the end of the day, like you got to close or it's win or lose. Like it is what it is.
It's so
So
true. I know you
th-
mentioned that you did one video a week for the first year. Now,
mhm,
how do you stay consistent? What was the plan after, and how do you stay consistent now while
yeah.
managing your real estate business? Tell me about your team. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
all your organization.
Sure, great question. So, to answer the first piece as far as staying consistent, is staying consistent requires building a muscle. And building a muscle takes time. So, it took me about a year to build the muscle of showing up once a week. I used to be offended or, bothered by people calling me intense. And I just wasn't associating intense connotated something different than what it always means or what it can mean. And after some time,
Intense?
I recognized, intense. Maybe I am a little bit intense because, and where I'm going with this is I'm not one to like to start things and stop them. So I made the commitment when I started to post one video a week. And then after about a year of feeling confident with that muscle built, I made the decision to show up like 5 days a week. And it wasn't easy in the beginning. There's definitely mornings like I'm still scrambling to figure it out. But from your experience, once you are on the train and it's moving, it's a lot easier, right? So it doesn't take the same energy for me to show up and post a video or come up with a caption as it did for me 4 years ago, because I've literally been doing it every single day, right? So I think there's a component of people needing to give themselves some grace, not comparing themselves to people at level 4, but comparing themselves to where they want to be at level 2, right? So I think you need to stretch yourself a little bit. If you're not showing up at all online right now, I think it's a bad idea to commit to showing up every single day.
Right.
It's a
It's
little
like
out of
it's
your reach.
like going to the gym. You can't start by, every day for an hour. You got to start at least 3 times a week for 30 minutes, or even if it's just daily at 15 minutes, and then you start building that muscle. Um,
Right, exactly. Same idea with like going to the gym and trying to eat right. It's not in the best interest, I think, to start a new diet, start a new sleeping pattern, start a new workout routine all at the same time. You need to give yourself opportunity to get things on autopilot before you start adding layers to everything, right? So you're a new real estate agent. I would not encourage you to start making videos. I think it's a distraction. I think it's a bad
mm,
distraction, right? I think there's an illusion of what that's going to do for your business immediately. I think what you need to do more importantly is get into the pattern or the habit of hosting open houses every week. Get in the pattern or the habit of sending emails every week, of picking up the phone every week. And once that stuff is consistent, then you add another layer to it. But
Yeah, people think that it's in California specifically. When we see realtors in California, we think that it's like $1 million listing, that you're going to do these videos and all of a sudden your phone is going to ring, right? And it's absolutely not. When I was in California, I don't know if I told you the story, but I used to sell in California from the worst time to sell real estate in California, 2009 to 2012, basically the worst. I came from Atlanta to LA in 2009. I had sold 48 transactions. Then I went to selling 0 in 2009. I had to door knock every day. I had to do open houses every weekend for 6 months, nonstops, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I didn't even know that you could even do open houses on Thursdays and Fridays. Here it's
right,
always like Saturdays and Sundays. But now in California, it doesn't matter. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I did that for 6 months, yet nothing. And
right,
there's this idea or misconception of, okay, I'm going to do videos, da, 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 da. I'm going to be a millionaire real estate agent, a celebrity agent all of a sudden.
right.
And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I mean, it's a complement. Videos are a complement of the business, right?
A hundred
And
percent.
so I want to know how you decided, how do you decide what content, what type of video content to create? Because now you're in that full year, now you're posting 5 times a week. How do you decide what video content? Do you have topics? Do you have series? Do you, and what
Yeah.
platforms do you actually focus on?
So when I first began, I wasn't very comfortable with my own voice, right? So how would I say that differently? I wasn't comfortable giving my opinion because I just didn't want to rock the boat too much. Really, where I started was just delivering the facts. I come from a background of practicing law, so it was really natural and comfortable for me to read something, understand it, synthesize it, deliver it back, right?
Mhm.
And that was kind of level one. That's why I think it's appropriate, and I've never been against people who do voiceover videos or point at things and dance on screen, because I feel like that is the way that people sort of begin getting comfortable showing up online. It's not easy to show up and give your opinion and subject yourself to that sort of judgment or that criticism. This is not political at all, but there's a reason why Donald Trump doesn't just have fans. He has disciples, he has loyalists. And the reason why is because he draws a line in the sand and you know where he stands. And he does that by soliciting his opinion. I think that is what real estate agents should aspire to be. Not, I'm not suggesting that you talk about politics online or
Right,
religion,
no,
but what I'm
immediately no.
saying is, yeah, immediately no. But what I'm saying is you should aspire to feel confident about giving your opinion about the market, but that's not generally where people want to begin. Or also being funny, right? Like I've leaned into humor. Humor is a great way to connect with people, but that's not where I started because I wasn't comfortable. So to answer your question as far as the types of content that I'm making or that I think agents should be making, I have a handful of buckets, right? So number one is educational stuff. If you were to look at the video that I posted today, it was home price appreciation projections, right? I did it in a creative way. I did it in an entertaining way. There's no talking, but I have the prices or the appreciation amounts popping up on screen. I want to enter, you have to ask yourself or remind yourself, what are people doing on Instagram or social media? What are they doing? They're not really going there to actively learn something, right? Maybe they're going to YouTube for that, but for other platforms, they're really going to be entertained, they're going to be inspired, they're going to be motivated. They're really going for quick fixes of things, and that's where I think if you want to teach somebody something, short form video or Instagram is probably not going to be the market that you can just like sit there and just talk at the camera.
Do
You
you
have to
use
still figure out.
mostly Instagram or YouTube?
Yeah. I'm just about everywhere, but Instagram has definitely been where I've created the biggest audience and what I enjoy the most. So there's no secret to what you enjoy doing will be what you succeed at the most. And Instagram short form video has definitely been what I've enjoyed the most. And without a surprise, it's where I've gotten the most results.
At what
So
point, I know that you have 6 people in your team, one of which is
mhm,
Joaquin, who is your
yeah.
creative director. At what point in your career you decided to hire Joaquin?
Yeah.
When do
So
we hire that person that will be the creative mind around everything?
well, it's funny you say that. And I say this respectfully to Joaquin, and, he'll probably end up hearing this at some point because he'll probably chop it into little sections. But I'm in such a driver's seat that despite Joaquin being my creative director, I'm doing better at giving him more freedom to just create and provide ideas. But truthfully, the decision for me and my business to bring in Joaquin was from a financial perspective as far as how much I was spending on video and marketing and how much money I could save if I brought it in house. So he is certainly my creative director, but I would be lying to you if did not say that I wasn't coming up with a lot of this stuff because I enjoy doing it. The reason or the time in which I decided to do it was in 2022. I don't remember how many listings we did. We maybe did like 40 something listings. And then we separately, I was hiring a video team for my content. My mom was hiring a video team for her content. So now we had like a photographer and a videographer for our houses. I had one personally, and my mom had one personally. I did the math at the end of the year, and we spent just under like $95,000 on video marketing.
Oh my
And
gosh. That's a lot
yeah,
of
we,
money.
it's a lot of money, but it's also you're spending it somewhere, Helen. You're
No,
spending it
but
somewhere.
I'm saying like you had to consolidate that. That
Yeah,
is someone's
exactly.
salary, right?
Yeah, exactly. So at that point, when I realized that we spent almost 100,000, I said, "All right, well, let's just make a business decision and bring it in-house." So now we shoot like Joaquin does all our listings. He does all the marketing for them. He does all our personal social media stuff. He does my mom's social media stuff. So it was just a business decision, right? Like I was trying to run the numbers on whether it's time for me to buy a big printing machine. I spent $22,000 last year on print material. So I'm doing the math like, is it time for me to buy this machine? Because, is it going to save me money, big picture? I didn't buy the machine. It didn't make sense. But, you have to, one way to make more money is to save money, right?
Yes.
So you have
Now,
to,
do you script your videos or do you prefer more a natural off the cuff approach?
no, I script a lot of stuff. Some things I will use a teleprompter for. Other things I will write. This is actually a great hack when it comes to making video and trying to remember what you have to say, is that the content online generally doesn't perform as well when it's the way that I'm talking to you right now. Like, do you see that big deep breath I took before I just said what I said to you?
Uh-huh.
This clip is probably going to get the air sucked out of it because those pauses, those breaths, I don't think are necessarily what performs well on the internet. So where I'm going with it, or the tip that I want to deliver, is if you deliver, like let's say you wrote a script, all you need to do is be able to deliver one sentence at a time, look at your script, next sentence, or two sentences at a time, wherever the natural pause is, because all of that air in between is easy to get cut out, right? So that's a an easy way to approach the content, because I know a lot of people watch my stuff, they're like, dude, did you memorize all that? At one point I was totally memorizing it, but I also come from a background of practicing law where I had to do this for my job.
Right.
It's a different approach. But now one hack is to deliver sentence by sentence, a couple sentences at a time, look at my script, deliver the next few sentences. I'm a big, big, big advocate of preparation. I do not believe, don't get me wrong, there is gold and magic that is made in improv, right? So we've definitely done it. However, I think there is more benefit in our industry to prepare before you pick up the camera, because the camera will provide enough anxiety, issues, struggle. It costs too much with your time to be figuring out ideas. So if I am showing up to record videos, that is not the time that I'm brainstorming videos.
No. So what tools do you use to shoot them and edit them? Are there anything that you could say for those entry realtors like me? What are the tools to edit and shoot?
Yeah, I would say the tools to use are the tools that you have available to you that are not complicated. So my number one is my iPhone. This is an iPhone 15, and that's probably my number one camera. The number two camera, that's very affordable. I think it's only 390. Affordable is relative. It's under $500. It's called an Insta 360
Mhm.
1X. That's my 360 camera. I'll use that for house tours. I could pretty much use it for everything. It's not very big. I have it on a desk, but I don't want to run out and grab it. It's a small camera. I think that if you're going to invest in another type of camera is really worthy. I think audio is very important. If people can't hear you, that's a problem. So the microphones that we use are called DJI. I don't remember the model, but if you just type in on Google
I know it's the little DJIs. Yes, that's what
Yeah,
I have
you're all
too.
green screen.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So the DJI mics are probably my favorite. And then other than that, just a tripod of sorts,
Yeah,
right? The problem,
it doesn't need to be that expensive. And I realize that. I think if you have
no,
good audio, it's the most important thing. When you have good audio, more than the actual picture, it's better. Um,
right.
but
And I think with agents, they want to create reasons why they don't show up, right? I need the perfect camera. I need the perfect, or why they're not making phone calls. I need a Mojo 3-line dialer. I need this special list. I need to be in the perfect environment. No, you don't need, you just need to do it.
yes, in full disclosure, that has always been me. You need the most fancy camera, you need the most fancy photographer in the videos. If not, I'm not going to get it done. And guess what? For many years, I just didn't do it. And it came to a
Yeah.
point last year that we hired my first video coach, and he basically said, "You're going to have your phone, I'm going to send you a microphone, and you're going to start recording." And that's what we did. And then all of a sudden, just that consistency every week of showing up at least 3 to 4 times a week,
Mhm.
people started noticing and they're like, "You're everywhere." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. It's just, but it's the perception of the consumer seeing me. And it's not the consumer, it's just my clients that are seeing me on
Right.
Instagram. They're seeing you over and over, and it's just little bits, but it's consistency. So let's go back to the videos itself, because I love
Mhm.
this conversation. And how do you encourage engagement on your videos? And have you noticed any trends in what buyers and sellers respond the most?
Yes. So to answer the first question of how do I get engagement, there's a few ways to increase engagement, but the first most obvious way that I would start with is asking for it. A call to action is very important, right? So whether you're going to say it in the video or you're going to write it in the caption, I think it's very important to say, share this video with someone who needs to see it. Tag a friend that you're going to bring to this restaurant. Save this post for when you need it later.
I remember you doing those a couple of years ago when I started seeing you, that you were around your neighborhood and started going into restaurants and doing that call of action that you're talking about, now that I remember. And it was like, if you should come here, and it's always like asking people to take action. And I love that, because if not, what are you doing? What are you doing if
Right,
you're not taking action?
right, right,
And
right.
how would you encourage engagement on your videos then?
Yeah, so another way other than to ask for the engagement is sort of to prime the pump, so to speak, to warm up the platform or the app before you post your video. So, for example, before I post a video in the perfect world, I will go to my inbox and I'm going to try to respond to all the messages that I didn't get to. Because when I am showing up in people's messages, that video that I'm going to post is then going to show up pretty immediately once they're on the app. The other thing that I will do is I will go respond to any comments that I've missed on my past post from the day before, so that all of that sort of juice is warming up before I make my next post. One little hack or one thing that you can do if that's not enough, but honestly, that by itself is a lot of effort, is if you have a specific person that you want to see your content, you're making a video and you want a specific person to see it, I encourage you to go comment on their video, go send them a message, go do something on their page, and your content will be likely served up to them next.
Awesome. Wow, I never thought of that. That's a very interesting, because then you're showing up on their feed and almost gets their followers, some of their followers, to look at you. That's awesome. Now, what has been the most effective? Is there one specific video that you recall that has been like, wow, this was the video that really changed everything, or that went viral, or like they like to say, it went viral? Or has it been a couple of them?
Um, I've had videos go viral. I've had videos get millions of views. I have not had any video that I felt like changed the course of my business or changed the course of my career life. I am somebody who is a hard worker, who is intense, who will out hustle you, but I am not naturally the best athlete. And I'm smart, but I'm not the smartest. I'm, strong, but I'm not the strongest. But I will likely be there longer than you because I'm, you know, a little crazier than most. My success on social media has been a result of showing up when I wasn't getting any attention, right? My success to be invited on this podcast is by virtue of you having seen me regularly for the past however many years you found me. It's really easy to show up on the scene and post and try to do the thing for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, whatever. Where are you in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Where are you when you don't get any acknowledgement? Where are you when nobody is engaging with you? Right? It's easy to want to show up when you have the six pack, when you're seeing the progress, you see the results. But it's not easy to show up when nobody's giving you any attention, when you don't think anybody cares about what you're doing. But it's in those moments in which you have to feel confident in what you're doing and believe in the process to say, F it, I don't care. I'm showing up anyways. I'm going to show up anyways. And I personally believe I was invited to speak on stages. I'm invited to speak on podcasts. I'm, blessed to get to help people like buy and sell houses, help agents with their content, whatever. I believe that all of that is a product of showing up regularly for the past 7 years, right? It's like I'm a tick, I'm a worm. Like you're just not going to get rid of me.
I think it's interesting that I know you're a mountaineer and you like hiking and climbing and all of that. And I think there's a correlation in showing up for yourself. What you just said is so interesting that there's a correlation in showing up for yourself when nobody's watching. Okay.
Yeah,
And to exactly what you're saying is it doesn't matter if you get the views or if it never goes viral, is you're still showing up. And eventually
100%.
somebody will notice, but it's really, you're still doing it because you love doing it. You're doing it for yourself. And I think it's Mel Robbins that says, nobody will come and nobody will show up. You have to show up for yourself. And I love
100%.
that. And I think you and I have that commonality. I'm an Ironman, and I do triathlons. And I'm not the fastest. I'm definitely not a good swimmer. I am awful running, but guess what? I'm still showing up. I'm still having fun. And not that many people like my age even go for a 5K. So
Right.
it's comparing myself to me and the progression over time. So I think it's
100%.
important to put that commitment to your craft, and which is you, and you put it into the business. It really
Right.
goes the same way. It's the way that you're committed into becoming better at being you and who you
100%.
are to the business, right?
Right.
And I think people can see that through your videos because I've seen a progression since 2020. I've been looking at you since the pandemic. I've been seeing your videos and your progression since 2020, and I see how now you're super comfortable with it. You are just showing up. You bring your family into these videos. You truly show who you are. And obviously there's
Right.
stuff that I'm sure that you don't show, but you have found a way to mix the personal, who you are, and even the videos from Mount Everest and all the other. I think Bolivia was the other one that you posted that I follow those. You are an inspiration to me, even though I don't
Yeah.
climb. I find that very inspiring because it's that effort to be better, and
Right.
you're looking for something inside of you to become better, and that's what you are. That's who you are, and that's what you give to your people, to your clients.
Right.
And I think people can see that through your
Thank
videos.
you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
amazing. Now, what would you say, that is, where do you see this video world moving with AI? you know, is it helping? Is AI helping? Or are we going to start seeing a trend that the video, people are not going to trust the videos? I mean, where do you see the trend moving with the video
Yeah.
marketing?
It's crazy because it's moving so fast, right? And it's changing so quickly that it's almost hard to keep up with it. I think that AI is tremendously helpful. I think that it's not going to take over anybody's business, but I believe that agents who use AI will continue to excel, and agents who don't use AI will not get very far. I don't know, and that's a crazy thing to think about. I don't know at what point agents or average people, consumers are going to start using AI to recreate themselves. You know how you can like do that now and you can make a fake Helen to deliver stuff. I
Yes,
think that's
yes.
fascinating, right? I don't know how quick or how soon that's coming, but I would say that if you are not using AI to speed up the brainstorm process, to help refine the content that you're creating. You know, like I pretty much won't send an email before putting it into ChatGPT to correct it for mistakes, or I won't,
Seriously. It's
you
such a
know,
great
like,
tool. It's definitely
right,
something that has changed, especially when doing questions for podcasts,
right,
when
but
doing descriptions for listings. I mean, you
right,
still have to go in and tweak it and make it yourself,
a
the just
hundred
a little,
percent.
but it does save you a lot of time. Before we had
And
to, I mean, I'm a journalist, so I could type it and I can do all the fluff and whatever, but I mean, this is real. This
right.
puts it in a minute. You have a full-on description and you just tweak it, you're done. You
I
move
think it's
on.
really
So
hard to start with a blank page as well. That's one place that people really struggle is, you're looking at the piece of paper and there's nothing on it. And there's this paralysis to how do I begin from zero? And, AI has really helped you just never have to start from zero to get to leverage. I am personally not very worried about it taking over or about it, pushing us out because at the end of the day, you are the brand. I am the brand. Nobody cares that you're a Coldwell agent. Nobody cares that you're a real agent, an EXP agent. They care about you and your ability to connect with people. And the problem with just pushing stuff into AI and not like auditing is it's very evidently not you. And that's not what people are able to connect with. So I think I am the special sauce. That's why I don't hide any secrets. I don't care what tactics I share because at the end of the day, it's up to you to do it. And there's enough for everybody, right? There's just plenty for everybody. And that the people that want to work with me, want to work with me, not because like this other person can't do it, but because they want my sauce, they want my voice, my style. And I think that's, agents need to acknowledge that is the consumer is looking like you're not looking for every consumer. You're looking for the consumer that likes you, your style, the way that you approach the business. And I just think that's
I,
an easier way to operate.
well, listen, you and I could be talking for hours. I can tell when I come to California, I'm gonna come visit you and we're gonna
Please.
spend a long time together. We have so much in common, it's crazy. Because I'm an
Ah,
immigrant too. I mean, I'm not an immigrant like your parents are, but I'm from Puerto Rico, so I can
yeah.
relate to a lot of that. What you were saying
That
about your
grit, that
parents.
hustle.
It is a hustle mentality, absolutely. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone, but it's just a little bit of a
No,
different approach, especially with the language, because
100%.
you could tell my accent. I mean, I was very conscious about my accent for many years. I just didn't want to do videos because of my accent.
Your accent,
And
right?
but now I'm just doing it, whatever, just do it. So a few things before we end is that I always like to wrap up from our conversation is I love what you said about put people first. That is
Mm,
something that I take serious with our business. And then another thing you said is success in real estate right now is where traditional meets modern social media. Let me say that again.
or
Success in
digital,
real
we're
estate.
yeah.
success in real estate right now is where traditional meets modern social media. So I love that. And it's so true because the old way of doing real estate will always be there, but we got to mix the social media in it. But it's all about the consistency, starting small. You said that, and you started small by just doing one video, building that muscle, one video a week for a year. Now that's building some great muscle. And then eventually 4 to 5 a week. And that's what took you to where you are now. And then coaching has
Yeah.
helped you with your mindset, and that has helped you with thinking, which I love. And this is, I think it's the best, is mindful of your time and the words you use. The words you use, the way you, like you said, I'm not Serhan yet. I am not, what's the other guy that you said?
Oh, Umansky, Mauricio.
Mauricio.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yet.
Mauricio yet, but you're already putting your mind to think that that's where you're going. I love,
Right.
love, love, love that. So thank you again so much for your time today, Krys. I
Thank you
truly
for having me.
appreciate. And again, to our followers and our subscribers that are not yet subscribers, make sure that you press the button like and follow us, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you so much, Krys. I'll
Thank you for
send you the
having me.
copy. Thank you.
Please.
Bye.